because no anytime, all the other instruments you will find in your PPT slides, yeah, all the pictures they find. Now group number 4. In the group number 4, guys, we have so-called specific circuits instruments. What it means specific? Specific means each instrument which is in group number 4 is used for one purpose. And each third instrument, guys, look, can be used during each stage of operation, starting, as I say, from access and finishing by the suturing. Yeah? And during technique and during access and during suturing, they used. These instruments, specific instruments, we can use only during technique. That is not for access, that is not for sutures, that is for techniques. Let's say this is biggest group in the surgery because you understand how many branches of surgery we have. Some stomatological surgery, urological surgery, neurosurgery. Even it's not clever to now name each branch because we have, I can say, 100 branches. And you know, during the time we see formation of the new branches. The big branch of the surgery is split it into small branches. Previously, we say just plastic surgery. In 20th century, we say face plastic surgery. Now we say just only nose plastic surgery. I assure tomorrow we will say just the left part of the nose plastic surgery. And like this, we will go to narrower and narrower inside of the surgical practice. For each branch, there are some specific fourth group of surgical instruments. Of course, I don't want to show for you all of them. Just several which will be used in our subject, yeah, which is more useful. For example, these 3 instruments we use for tracheotomy, tracheostomy. Tracheotomy, why especially I choose now this surgery to introduce for you? Because this is emergency surgery, which is save the life of your patient. Tracheotomy, it means cutting of trachea. Tracheostomy, it means formation of fistula of trachea. For what? For breathing. We cannot live without breathing, you know. Unfortunately, we are not some animals with this. For example, how many minutes we can live without breathing? How long you can live without breathing?
Less.
Huh? Less? What does it mean, less?
1.5 minutes.
Less it is somebody's name? I don't know what it means. Less. Less than what? Less than my life?
Less than a minute.
Or less than my lesson?
Less than a minute.
Huh? I don't listen to you.
Less than a minute.
Really? I like the diving and I keep my breath approximately up to 3 minutes. So I think it's not so big quality. You also now, if you will close your nose and your mouth more than 1 minute, you can don't breathe. That's approximately, guys, we cannot breathe up to 4 or 5 minutes. What will be happen after this? Your heart will stop. How we call this situation that heart is stopped? How we call it? Huh? How we will call it medically? How? Huh?
Cardiac arrest.
Once again?
Cardiac arrest.
So simple. We call it, guys, clinical death. Clinical. We have biological and we have clinical. It is clinical death. What does it mean, clinical? It means you can make some resuscitation and this person can be treated. What does it mean, biological death? Person is lost because we have the necrosis of the cortex. You can keep some vital qualities of this body for future transplantation. You can switch it to artificial cardiovascular and breathing system to keep the tissues for transplantation, but the person is lost. That is not the person, it is the body. Let's have a look, after 4 minutes that the heart is stopped, we have clinical death. And you have approximately 3-4 minutes for reanimation. For reanimation. Do you understand me? After these 3-4 minutes, if you will not make reanimation or if it will be not successful, stage of clinical death, come to the biological. That's it, guys. Then the respiratory system is obstructed, you have a few minutes to make this simple manipulation, which is called tracheotomy, tracheostomy. What does it mean, tracheotomy, tracheostomy? Hold your hand like this. Now this is trachea. In some, for example, in the place of the face, it is obstructed. Or maybe it is larynx. This is, friends, I speak for you. Do you speak for me? They say, why you speak if not for me? No, you dear, I don't have any neurological problems. Then I say you speak, it means you speak. It's not necessary to prove me that I am wrong. For example, this is larynx, or this is upper part of trachea, doesn't matter. Here there are obstruction. What is my goal now? To open this respiratory system and to make fistula below this obstruction. It will be very stupid if I will do it above the obstruction, because it will not give any benefit for me. Anyhow, air will not go to down. That's why I must to make stoma only below obstruction, not above obstruction. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, in some emergency situations, sorry if I will see touch wood, of course, person with problem which is called asphyxia. What is asphyxia? What is asphyxia? Guys, you look in my face like, I don't know, some strangers in the street. You're medical students. Asphyxia, you study the Latin. What it means, asphyxia. Impossible to breathe. If the breathing is stopped or if it is stand hard, we call it asphyxia. If I will see the person with asphyxia in the street, for example, small child put the toy in the mouth and it is goes to the respiratory system, so close them. Asphyxia. But I don't have, any endoscope in my pocket in the street to understand the level of this problem. I don't have. I can do it in hospital, but not in the street. But I must remember that first narrow place located in the level of vocal cords. That is not trachea, that is larynx. And there are high possibility that this foreign body will be exactly in this level, because that is, again, I tell you, rima glottis, that is the first narrow place. And if I will open trachea, there are high chance that I will make stoma below the place of obstruction. Again, I say you. Can I do this operation in the street? No. Tracheotomy, tracheostomy, it is impossible to perform in the street. You know why? Because I show for you. Because I need special instruments. But what I can do? In the street, I can make so-called conicocricotomy. It is opening of the larynx between your thyroid and cricoid cartilages. Now tell me, please, why I can open larynx, but why I cannot open trachea? Do you know how many lectures I have before your lesson? 3. That is my 4th lesson. And I also need to sit it. But okay, I will wait. Physically, it is hard, guys, to read 8 hours, to teach 8 hours. Anyhow, it is my problem, not yours. But you must be a little bit more active, because if you will sleep now, I will sleep together with you, and we will lose our lesson. It's a little bit to be more active, guys. Why I can open larynx, but cannot open trachea in the street conditions? In the hospital, I can do everything.
So it is not sterile.
Huh?
The environment is not sterile, so microbes and breathing
and you think that your larynx, it is rubbish box. It can be opened in non-sterile conditions, but trachea, no. Only larynx I can open in non-sterile conditions. For trachea, it's forbidden.
Trachea from cartilage.
Of course, you're very clever. Trachea, it is cartilaginous structure. Cartilages is very, very sliding and movable. I think in your kitchen when you cook the meat, you cut the cartilages, and it's not so simple. They slide it. And if you will try in the street cut this trachea, you will have big chance to cut carotid neurovascular bundles, which is located from right and left to it. But sorry, between thyroid cartilage, look now here, I will make maximal extension of my neck. And you will see depression, which is located between, this is my thyroid cartilage. Do you see that I make extension, my voice is changed, yeah, because vocal cords is tensed. And this is my cricoid cartilage, and between them there are soft tissue membrane, which we call membrana thyrocricoidea. That is membrane, that is not cartilage. I can take anything sharp and I can pierce, perforate the membrane, but I cannot do the same with trachea. Because trachea only soft from behind. Posterior wall of the trachea is membranous, but all other walls it is semi-cartilage. Why semi? Because from behind it's not cartilage. It's not complete ring. It is non-complete ring. Do you understand me or not?
Yes.
That's why in the street conditions I make perforation of the membrane. Again, benefit is big because it's located below the rhinoglottis. So if the foreign body will be in the level of first narrow place of your respiratory system, you will save the life by this manipulation. But now we speak not about laryngotomy, conicotomy, we speak about tracheotomy, which we make in hospital. I don't want now to teach you how we do it, because in the future we will study. I want to speak just only about surgical instruments, which is used. Group number 4, first instrument we call single sharp hook. Using this hook, we fix trachea and prevent any movement of it. Then I take the instrument from group number 1. It is sharp-pointed scalpel, and I perforated the cartilages of trachea, 1 or 2, comparable with the size of the tube. Yeah? For adults, bigger, for children, smaller. Then I take the second instrument, which we call retractor of Trousseau. I insert it inside of aperture and we enlarge it. I mean tracheal cartilage aperture. Finally, now I will use the third instrument, which we call tracheotomic tube. I put it firstly in horizontal position, insert it between branches of Trousseau, then I turn it vertically and fix it on the neck through this shield by apertures using the bandages. And sutures will be applied in the wound up to this tube. All close it. Tube has 2 parts, inner tube, outer tube, and the lock between them. And the lock between them. Guys, let's make small break time, yeah? 5 minutes. Just what I so big problems with this timetable, I don't understand. Till now, I don't know the time of my lessons. Let's continue. About tracheotomy, tracheostomy, I think it is enough. Inside of this group also, we have special intestinal instruments. For example, intestinal clamps. And here there are 2 types of the clamps. First one we call occlusional, by outer we call it Doyen clamp. And we have crushing, which we call Ocher clamp. What is the function of each one? Now look, listen. Imagine that you should remove part of the intestine, because there are some problems here. For example, tumor. In this level, I must remove the intestine. Yeah, we call this surgery resection. Portion of removing of the organs we call resections, as you remember. Yeah, I must use 4 such kind of instruments for this surgery. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 I put proximally to the removing structure. 2 I put distally to removing. Of course, from these 4 instruments, first and fourth one will be occlusional, and second and third one will be crushing. Why? Occlusional instrument I apply on the non-removable part. It doesn't damage the walls of the intestine. Vice versa. Crushing one, crush everything, stop all the bleeding, but any case make the necrotization of the structures. Yeah, so I can apply it only on the removable part of the organ, and vice versa. Occlusional one I apply on the non-removable. Guys, my time is very short. Let's finish to speak about 4th group. All another instruments you will find them. Let's come to the 5th group. In the 5th group of surgical instruments, all instruments can be divided in 5th group into 2 subgroups. First one we call instruments for hand suturings, Second one we call instruments called mechanical or automatical suturings. Other way we call them staplers. Stapler, it is some equipment which is make metallical sutures between different structures. For example, metallical sutures of the vessels, metallical sutures of the intestine, metallical suture of the respiratory organs, skin. It's using non-organic wires. Like you use staplers to connect your papers to each other. In same case, we have staplers which is connected to each other. I have here one broken stapler. You can see it after. I think it's not necessary to show for you. Yeah? For example, this is margin of the wound. You connected them to each other. You apply the stapler. You push the wire inserted in two margins of the wound and connected margins to each other. Then, if you want to remove it, there are the special removal for this, like the needle holder. You fix it. You push it to upwards and it is removed from the wound. After 7 days, we can simply do it because margins of the wound is joined and fused to each other. We have two types of the staplers. If you will open, you will see in our slides, we have line type shaped stapler and round stapler. Of course, I think it's so simple to understand that round staplers we use to connect canal shaped structures to each other. Respiratory canals, gastrointestinal canals, vascular canals. It's simple. For example, there are intestine, you perforated the wall of intestine, you inserted this round stapler inside of it, you connected two tips to each other, you press the whole handle of it, metallical wires connected, then through this aperture you remove it and you close the aperture by the suturing. I think it's simple. Now let's speak mainly about hand suturing structures. Two, it is needle holder and it is different type of the needles. First of all, guys, I want to say you that 90% of the needles in the surgery, it is curved needles. As you remember in your slides, I showed that curvature can be different. Half of the circle, 1/3 of the circle, 4/5 of the circle. It's a different curvature. It can be more curved, it can be less curved. General rule is simple. The more deep you work, the more curved structure you need. Vice versa. In the surface, we can use even straight needles, to make the suture. How we make fixation of the needle inside of the needle holder? Look here, please. First of all, they should be absolutely perpendicular to each other. Not like that, or not like this, but they will have perpendicular axes. So you can see between my instruments the 90-degree angle. Second, you can check now that I fix my needle by middle part of my needle holder, not by tip and not by base. It's for fixation, I prefer to use middle part, something like this. Then you can see that I divided my needle into two unequal parts. 1/3 it is eye, 2/3 it is sharp part. One side is shorter, sharp side is longer. And in that position, if it is traumatical needle, this is needle by eye, about which you asked me, it has the eye.
Yes.
So I must take the thread and insert it in eye. Of course, I will not do it in that way, It is much more simple. Look, I fixate the thread by my fingers, I turn it into the body, I put it in the lock, I push it simply, and my thread is inserted inside of the eye. So now I can work, I put such kind of position for thread, short side it is 1/3, long side it is 2/3 approximately of the length. I strongly must to close the lock of my needle holder. It is forbidden to work with the open needle holder because accidentally you can lose your needle inside of the tissues and it will be big problem. That's how you close it. And in this position, you start to work to make suture. Of course, time is not enough today. In 30 minutes past 3 we finish. That's the next time we will make the practical skills. And now classifications. Such kind of instrument we call Hagar's needle holder. There are Mathieu holder. I don't use it. You know why? Because it closed and opened by same movement. You little bit press it closed, then you press it little more and lock is open. Why I don't like it? Because you can lose the needle during the work. Hagar have work in another way. It's like any lock organ. It is lock instrument. It is closed and open by different movement. Usually you insert it first and fourth fingers inside of the branches. If the instrument is short, you put your finger in cross point. If it is long, you put it in branch. Why? To prevent your tremor movement of the fingers, yeah, for fixation. About needles classification, as I say, we have straight needles, we have curved needles, we have piercing needles, we have cutting needles, we have traumatical needles, we have atraumatical needles. What does it mean, piercing and cutting needles? Piercing needle has round body and sharp tip. Cutting needle, as you can see here, has also sharp margins. You will palpate it, yeah, you will see that the margins is sharp. It has triangular shape. So, piercing needle has a round body, cutting needle has triangular. You see it? Triangle. For what? Piercing needle we use to perforate it, polite, slim, not so durable, and vice versa. Cutting needle is necessary for very strong, elastic, for example, skin in front of the occipital region. Anytime I give this example, if you will try to suture it by round needle, in 90% of cases you will break the needle. So this is advantage of the cutting. Yeah, it's more simple, but disadvantage is make big holes. For example, it will be very stupid to suture intestinal wall or vascular wall using such kind of the needle because you will make big apertures, which is forbidden. A traumatical and traumatical, I told you, that is a traumatical. This is a traumatical, for example. You can see the thread and needle connected to each other in factory condition. Yeah, you don't need to insert any thread into the needle. Yeah, they connected to each other. And what is the problem here, guys? That you use traumatical instrument. You make the holes in the tissues, which is much more bigger than the size of the thread, which you inserted after. So you make more traumatization than it's necessary. And what is the second problem, guys? Do you see how big space I have for passage of any liquid? That is the problem. That's why today we try to not use any intra-tissue surgery using such kind of the needle. Because if I will suture, for example, intestinal tract by such kind of the needle, I will have peritonitis. Do you understand?
Yes.
Let's finish today, yeah? Time is over. Next, all instruments is given for, yeah, about threads, we say we have monofilament, we have polyfilament, we have organical, we have non-organical, we have natural, we have synthetical, we have absorbable, we have non-absorbable. Everything is greatly given in your slides. Read. If you will have questions, I will be happy to help you. Again, your homework, I give you this study. First, my lecture, that is frontoparietal occipital region. In Friday, we will finish it. And also, I will make control from all surgical instruments. And I will try to teach you the practical skills, knotting and suturing. Do you have questions?
Yes.
Do you have?